Well, good afternoon. Thursday afternoon, as usual, and sitting in traffic. Lot of stuff going on today. Lot of stuff. Big story is the oil spill off the Louisiana coast. And as a refresher, that's the British Petroleum oil rig, submersible oil rig or semi-submersible oil rig, run by Transocean for British Petroleum, that on the 20th of April, 21st of April, suffered an explosion. It subsequently sank. 115 men got off, but I believe it's 11 did not. 11 men died. The rig has sunk and has been spilling oil into the Gulf of Mexico since that time. The main reason is that a blowout preventer, that's a mechanism that is supposed to stop the onrush of oil should anything happen to the rig, has failed. In addition, it appears that there are actually as many as 3 different leaks. So not real sure how well that blowout preventer would have worked in the first place. Of course, the questions are, why didn't it work? British Petroleum, of course, is blaming Transocean, who moves the rigs. Basically, they lease their rigs to oil companies. They operate the rigs for the oil company pays them, and the oil company takes the oil. British Petroleum is blaming Transocean. Transocean hasn't said anything. An interesting quote I heard today, it's a pretty darn good question. It's from a mayor in Alabama whose coastline is about to get smacked with all kinds of oil. Is the overflow preventer is your backstop. That's what happens. Where was plan B? Did they really think that any disaster would have, any accident on the rig would have simply been fixed by this overflow or this blowout preventer? Was that the only thing that stood in the way? There was no plan B? Because right now they're coming up with a plan B. It's spilling thousands upon thousands of gallons of oil into the ocean every day. They are trying a number of things to try to stop it. One of the things they're trying is to position essentially a type of cap collector that will go over each of the leaks, that will allow them to, rather than the leak just spilling into the ocean, it would spill into this collector, and they would be able to pull it out so that it wouldn't go into the water, it would go into a separate thing. It's not necessarily drilling per se, but it's a way to keep the oil there. However, they're saying that to actually cap this, whether by drilling another hole to relieve the pressure and allow the capping that way, or to get gear out there that go down the 1,500 feet to the seabed where the break is, will take a month. A month of this oil spilling into the ocean. Tonight, that slick is already dangerously close to the coastline, going from Louisiana to basically almost to Florida. It's a sheen on the ocean that can actually be seen from space. NASA's been able to take pictures of it, so you can see where the oil slick is. It's heading towards sensitive wetlands right when it's breeding season for the animals. If it's a bird and there are chicks in a nest in those wetlands, there's a good chance that the oil will get into the nests, and if it gets into the chicks, really slim chance of them surviving. Some of the adult birds might, others won't. Birds who migrate, they might be safe in that they usually roost in trees on their way down. Actually way up at this point, going up north. They usually roost in trees, so they might be saved, but the food sources that they usually find in the wetlands, in the wet areas, are going to be completely fouled. There won't be any food source. Hopefully they'll move on, but it's going to change migratory patterns. Fish that spawn in shallow waters may have problems. And the area, especially around Louisiana and Alabama, are very big on oyster beds, and that oil will foul the oyster beds, essentially destroying them. So now we're not just talking about animals, but we're talking about economies. We're talking about ways of life. You know, oysters in New Orleans, oysters in Louisiana, that's part of their culture. Destroyed. And of course, British Petroleum is blaming somebody else already. So who's going to foot the bill for this? Well, it sounds like initially it's going to be us. Now, there is a law, it was passed in the 70s, that says that the owner of the oil rig has to pay for all of the cleanup. All of it. That's going to be interesting, because BP is trying to put it off on Transocean. Now, Transocean says that they have an insurance policy out for $560 million, should completely cover the cost of the rig. But $560 million is a fair chunk of their total annual revenue, an even bigger chunk of their net income. $560 million. It'll cover it, right? But the cost to clean this up is going to be a lot higher than that. There are hundreds of thousands of feet of boom out there right now. Because of a declaration by Department of Homeland Security, this is now what they call an event of national significance, which means that the Coast Guard can get money and resources from all over the country. That takes money to move those resources. It takes money to keep them going. And it means we're pulling them from other operations. Somebody's got to pay for that. In the end, the ones who are going to pay for it are going to be you and me. And the really sad thing about it is that we're going to pay for it in two ways. We're going to pay for it in our taxes, because that's money that's got to come from somewhere. And we're going to pay for it in gasoline. Because you can bet the price of gas is going to start to soar from this issue. Yay. So, I'm hoping that things don't go too bad down there, that they can do something to try to keep that oil out, but it's not looking very good. That's my rant for this afternoon. I may be doing a whole bunch of writing tonight, so there may be a whole bunch of written rants tonight. Lots of things to talk about. Hope you had a great day. Leave your comments down below. We'll talk to you later.